Hello, this is Bridget Doles, and I will be taking you through the steps in creating a pivot table using Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is an electronic spreadsheet. Within it, you have an abundance of tools you can use. We will be utilizing the pivot table tool. A pivot table allows you to manipulate the columns and switch them and pivot them to rows, hence the term pivot table. And after we've switched them, we can summarize all those records. Now, I am using Microsoft 2013, which is a lower version, but the steps are very similar to the higher versions. One note, in your spreadsheet, you want to make sure that you have column headers for each one of your columns. Let's get started. So, I need to find out how well my sales reps have done overall in their sales. So the data that I have here is good enough data to give me that. I have a column for sales rep, the region, the week, and the sales. I'm going to click on the cell for sales rep. You want to make sure that you always start on the column header, the very first one, when you're starting your pivot table. When we go up, we see our tabs. I'm going to click on the Insert tab, and notice that the ribbon icons within that tab change. We need to find the pivot table. There it is. Click on the pivot table. Now a pivot table window appears. It automatically recognized my data set that I want to utilize into my pivot table. I have just so happened to name that range. If I had named it, I would see the cells through to the other cell. Below, I want to produce this pivot table in the new worksheet, so I'm going to leave it as new worksheet. Click OK. Notice over here we have a new panel, and it's called Pivot Table Fields. If you notice, those column headers are now fields. Down below, we have filters, which if I chose any of these fields and plopped it into filters, I'll be able to filter on the values within them. Columns is different. If I plop a field from columns into columns, then the column headers become the values. If I plop one of these fields into rows, then the values within that field become the row headers. Values is powerful. Values allows you to manipulate the data that is in those values. You can calculate on them. So let's get started. Let's grab sales rep and bring it down to rows. And let go. Notice over to the left, we now see all of our sales reps, but we need to get their overall sales. So I remember that each rep had a line for each region and week. Let's see what happens when we bring sales down to values. Remember, values allows us to calculate. Let go. Look. It automatically recognized that we wanted to sum those values. So now we see the summary, the overall sales for each one of our reps. What if we want to see and group them by their regions? All we have to do is click and drag region and drag it above sales rep in rows. Now you see East and all of their sales reps and North and all the sales reps. Wow. What if we want to see how they perform by the week? That's when we utilize column. So let's click and drag week. And now those week become column headers. So week 1, you can see this how they performed in their sales. And that's how you create a pivot table. Isn't it easy and simple? Now, your next thing you could do is create a pivot chart off of this, but that comes at a later time. So, I hope you enjoyed this and you learned something, and hope to see you and enjoy you at a later time. Goodbye for now.